Hi there, welcome to my channel. For this video we are going to do an easy install of the latest version of Kali, which today that is 2021.1. We're going to install it on a new VMware Workstation Pro instance. So VMware Workstation Pro. We are going to download our images from osboxes.org. The link will be in the description of the video. And for this, we are going to select Kali Linux. So you expand that, right click from the official website, open a new tab. I find the easiest way to download this is to download the Kali Linux 64-bit installer and to use a torrent. I just find that works a lot faster. As you can see, I have already done this using uTorrent. I have downloaded it to my downloads folder, and then I have placed it in a folder where I keep my virtual machines. So as you can see here, I've created a folder 19th to the 3rd 21, that's today's date. These are the 64-bit images that I have downloaded. So with that being said, let's create a new virtual machine. So with VMware Workstation Pro open, click create a new virtual machine. Two options here, typical, which is usually checked, or custom advanced. I recommend typical. Personally, I like to go with custom advanced so that we can change settings at the very start. I just find that easier. So we'll go through that anyway. But you can choose typical and then change it later if you find it easier. So we're going to go hardware compatibility, VMware Workstation 16. Obviously, if you're using an older version, you can change the older version. But we'll just install the one I've got, all the bells and whistles. So next. Now, because we've downloaded an ISO, we're going to use the installer disk image. We're then going to browse to where it is. I know where mine's kept, so I've already browsed to that folder. I'm going to select the Kali Linux 2021.1 live image ISO and open. And next, guest operating system, select Linux obviously, and Kali Linux is built on Debian. So because we're using the latest, we'll choose the latest version of Debian that's available, which is 10.x 64-bit. Next, name the virtual machine. This is going to be Kali Linux. I already have one named that, so I will name it Kali Linux Demo. And the location where you are going to put your files. So for me, it is virtual machines there, and there, and the demo video. Okay. Next, here you can select the number of processors. Obviously this depends on the machine that you're using. Kali doesn't require much, so I'm going to give it 2 processors, 2 cores. Next, so you can select the amount of RAM you want to allocate. That means if you just do that, 4096, I'm going to give it 4 gigs of RAM. That'll be plenty. You can select more or less should you require. You can see here your maximum, the recommended, and their minimum value. For the network type, we are going to select what is auto-selected, use network address translation on that. That will allow your Kali machine to access the internet through your host machine's internet connection. But there are other options, but you really need to know what you're doing there if you want to select them. The next one, select I/O controller types, leave it as recommended, LSI logic. And select the disk type, leave it as recommended, again, click next. Here we are going to create a new virtual disk. You can use an existing or a physical, for example, but for most users, creating a new virtual disk is the best idea. Now, the recommended size for this version is 20 gigabytes. However, I have a lot of hard drive space and I always give it a bit more in case I want to do specific things with the operating system. So I'm just going to change that to 40, but feel free to leave it at its recommended. And here, split virtual disk into multiple files. So we just leave that as recommended for the time being. And next here as well. And everything looks fine there, and we can go to finish. So this here, we can see here it's created my new instance on VMware Workstation Pro. Kali Linux demo, as I named it. It's got 4 gigabytes of memory, 4 processors, 40 gigabytes of hard drive space, and a network address, network adapter is on that. Now what I tend to do here, usually these images come with standard passwords or you have to input them. If you're just going to use this for practice, I would suggest using user and password. It's very easy and have it related to the machine. So for this we're going to have user at this point. First screen up, selecting a language, leave it as English if that is your language. Obviously you can change it to that as something else if it's not your language. Click continue. And for me it's United Kingdom is my location. Guess why? Continue. The language, your keyboard layout, sorry, British English. Continue. While it loads components, I will pause the video and we'll get back when it starts doing again. As we can see, it just went through the initial setup and it's now on to configuring the network. For the sake of ease of use, we will leave this host name as it's requested at this point as Kali. Keep everything Kali to make it easy to use. And then continue. Domain name, kali.com. Continue. Full name for the new user. This is what I was telling you earlier. We will put in the user as Kali, lowercase. Continue again. Password, Kali, lowercase, Kali, lowercase. And just so you can see that is the case. There we go, Kali in both. Continue. At this point I will pause the video again. And as you can see, we are now onto the stage where we need to set the hard disk for it. At this point, it's recommended just use the guided version, use entire disk, the recommended option. Continue. And continue. And again, recommended for new users, this is the ideal option at this stage anyway. All files in one partition. You can separate it, of course, should you choose. Click continue. And then again, finish partitioning and write changes to disk, leave it set as it is, and continue. At this point, this is your final chance to change it. It's asking if you want to write the changes to disk. Select yes instead of no. Click continue. And at this point, I will pause the video. As we can see now, it's reached the next stage in the installation. It's asking us if we would like to use a network mirror. Just leave this as a recommended yes. Continue. We don't need anything in the proxy information unless of course you are using a proxy, in which case put the proxy information in this box here and click continue. And I will pause it again. Here we can see it's reached the next stage of the installation. Asking if we want to install the grub bootloader. Now because it's a new installation, we're going to leave this set in yes. It doesn't have another operating system on this computer because this is a completely blank virtual machine. That's why it can be set as yes. In here, we can either enter the device manually or we can select the option that's available. That's what we'll do. We'll click continue. And as it's doing this next part, I will pause the video again. And you can see here now, the installation is complete, so it's time to boot into the new system. And because we're using an ISO, we don't have anything to remove from the drive, so we can just click continue. And I'll pause the video again. As you can see, it is now successfully rebooted and it's entering the operating system. And here we go, the username and password, and if you remember we set them both as Kali and then Kali, and they are both lowercase. Log in. Now the last thing you want to do after you've done your fresh install, anywhere on desktop, right click, open terminal here to open a terminal window. And once you have your terminal window open, type sudo, so that you're a super user do sudo apt space update, then ampersand apt space upgrade space -y. I'll ask you for your sudo password, which is Kali, lowercase, and then it will start installing the update. And as we can see here, it has finished installing the updates, so you now have a freshly installed version of Kali Linux 2021.1, which is fully updated and upgraded, ready to start using. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please do a new YouTuber a favour, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell for notifications. Thank you.